The Fu family's private jet has always been reserved for the intimate moments between Cruz Fu and me, but today, on our third wedding anniversary, there was an extra person in the cabin. A girl in a white dress smiled innocently and waved at me. "Hello, sister-in-law, I'm Lacey Song." Cruz said he'd take me out to relax. My gaze fell on the scarf around her neck, the one I had specially ordered from the Paris exhibition, the only one of its kind in the world. Cruz Fu didn't even look up. His tone indifferent. "Nova, Lacey has been performing well lately, so I'm rewarding her by bringing her along." I smiled, took off the diamond ring from my ring finger, and placed it on the desk in front of him. "Have fun, President Fu. This trip, and our marriage, end here." I turned and walked toward the cabin door. Lacey Song immediately looked on the verge of tears, grabbing Cruz Fu's sleeve. "Cruz, did your wife misunderstand? It's all my fault. I shouldn't have come." Cruz Fu finally frowned, grabbing my wrist with considerable force. "Nova Shin, have you had enough? Making a scene on our anniversary over an outsider? Is this the upbringing of the Shin family's eldest daughter?" I looked at him and suddenly felt that these 3 years had been a joke. I calmly pushed his hand away. "Cruz Fu, you are wrong. First, from the moment I took off the ring, you were no longer one of my own. Second, I'm not making a scene. I'm informing you that we are over." After saying that, I didn't look at him again and walked straight down the gangway. The biting wind blows against my face, yet I feel incredibly clear-headed. When has the dignified eldest daughter of the Shin family ever suffered such humiliation? If he wants to see me compete with the mistress, he better have the ability. I took out my phone and dialed my assistant's number. "Amy, contact a lawyer immediately and draft a divorce agreement. In addition, sell all the shares I hold in all Fu Group-related projects. Immediately, right now." On the other end of the phone, Amy was clearly taken aback, but she quickly regained her composure. "All right, President Shin, I'll take care of it right away." After hanging up the phone, I looked at the private jet about to take off, a cold smile curling at the corner of my lips. "Cruz Fu, do you think I, Nova Shin, can't survive without you? You'll soon find out who really can't live without whom." Lacey Song probably thought she had one. Shortly after the plane took off, her social media feed was updated. The post featured a picture of the elegant champagne and desserts in the cabin, along with that glaringly conspicuous silk scarf of hers. "Thanks, Cruz. My bad mood is all gone. Maldives, here I come." Soon after, a screenshot from a mutual friend in our circle was sent to me. "Nova, what's going on? Cruz Fu, I replied with "just watch the show" and turned off my phone. Cruz Fu probably thought I was just throwing a tantrum and that he could come back to coax me once he had his fun. Unfortunately, I never give anyone a second chance. At the exact moment the plane landed in the Maldives, the stock price of the Fu Group began to plummet without warning. Several core projects I had funded came to a sudden halt due to an abrupt break in the capital chain. Cruz Fu's phone must be getting blown up by now. I wonder if he's still in the mood to watch the sea with his Lacey sister. Cruz Fu's call came 3 hours later. I was leisurely swimming in the temperature-controlled pool at my estate and hung up without even looking. The phone kept ringing persistently, and finding it noisy, I simply put it on silent mode. Butler Jong came over with a fruit platter, a worried expression on his face. "Miss, it's your husband on the phone, just someone unimportant." I took off my swimming goggles and wiped the water off my face. "Uncle Jong, from now on, block all calls and visits from the Fu family." Uncle Jong sighed but still nodded. "Yes, miss, I know what Uncle Jong is worried about. I have been married to Cruz Fu for 3 years, and in the eyes of outsiders, we have always been a model couple. The marriage between the Shun and Fu families is even more a celebrated story in the business world. But what they don't know is how much my Shun family has had to support the Fu family behind this celebrated story. Back when the Fu family was on the brink of bankruptcy, I was the one who pushed through all opposition and persuaded my father to use the Shun family's connections and funds to pull Fu Enterprises back from the edge. Cruz Fu did prove himself capable, taking Fu Enterprises to new heights within 3 years. Perhaps standing too high made him forget who helped him rise in the first place. He thought Fu Enterprises had grown strong enough to rival my Shun family, or even break free from me. Naive, I took a sip of juice and clicked on the financial news. Fu Group's stock price plummeted by a mysterious 20% today, with multiple core projects halted, causing widespread panic in the market. Below the news was a disheveled photo of Cruz Fu being surrounded by reporters at the Maldives airport. He looked anxious, shouting angrily into his phone, while Lacey Song beside him was so frightened that her face turned pale. I smiled with satisfaction. This was just the appetizer. The next day, I arranged to meet Lu Jing'an, Cruz Fu's biggest rival, at a private club. Lu Jing'an was dressed in a well-tailored silver-gray suit, his peach blossom eyes slightly upturned, carrying a hint of playful, roguish smile. "Miss Shun, I truly didn't expect you to take the initiative to invite me." He poured me a glass of wine, his demeanor elegant. "After all, I am the person your husband dislikes the most." I swirled the wine glass, the crimson liquid tracing a beautiful arc along the rim. "It won't be for long." Lu Jing'an raised an eyebrow, his interest growing even more intense. "Oh, what do you mean by that?" "I want a divorce." I got straight to the point. The trouble the Fu Corporation is facing now is just the beginning. I think President Lu would be very interested in taking this opportunity to reclaim what he snatched from you back then. Lu Jing'an's expression changed instantly. It was the look of a hunter who had long been suppressed, finally spotting its prey. 3 years ago, the Lu and Fu families were competing for a crucial overseas project. Cruz Fu used some underhanded tactics, causing Lu Jing'an to suffer a crushing defeat, which severely weakened the Lu family. This grudge, Lu Jing'an had held onto for a full 3 years. "Miss Shun, how would you like to collaborate?" He leaned forward slightly, his voice tinged with a hint of suppressed excitement. "Simple." I set down my wine glass, looking directly into his eyes. "I want the Fu family to disappear completely." Lu Jing'an smiled and extended his hand. "Pleasure working with you, Miss Shun. Pleasure doing business, President Lu. The two of us, one for profit, one for pride, hit it off immediately." Cruz Fu's good days are coming to an end. The photos of my meeting with Lu Jing'an were soon accidentally leaked. In the photo, we were chatting happily and behaving intimately. A single spark can start a prairie fire. Fu Group president's wife secretly meets with arch-rival, signs of a high society marriage crisis. Once loving couple turns into bitter enemies. Shun-Fu alliance marriage may be on the brink of collapse. Cruz Fu flew back overnight from the Maldives and went straight to the company without even returning home. But what I ended up waiting for was a phone call from my mother-in-law, Mrs. Fu. As soon as the call connected, she launched into a barrage of accusations. "Nova Shin, what on earth are you trying to do? Cruz is overwhelmed with problems right now. If you're not going to help, that's one thing. But you even went to see that scoundrel Lu Jing'an. Are you trying to ruin the Fu family?" Her voice was sharp and harsh, completely different from the elegant and dignified Mrs. Fu I usually saw. I can even imagine the spittle flying from her mouth right now. I picked at my ear and said in a flat tone, "Mrs. Fu, have you forgotten that I'm also a victim? A victim? What right do you have to call yourself a victim?" She sneered. "Men face a lot of pressure when they're out working. Isn't it normal for them to play along in social situations? As a wife, you should be more tolerant and understanding. As for that Lacey Song, I've met her. She's a good girl, gentle and considerate, much better than you, a workaholic who only knows how to work all day." I was so infuriated by her twisted logic that I couldn't help but laugh. "So, you're saying I deserved to be betrayed and should be grateful that the other woman was so understanding? What kind of attitude is that?" Mrs. Fu raised her voice. "Nova Shin, let me tell you, as long as I'm alive, don't even think about divorcing Cruz. I won't let you disgrace the Fu family." "Oh, really?" I chuckled softly. "Then you'd better live a long life." After saying that, I hung up the phone directly and blocked her number. Immediately, I had my assistant Amy compile a list and sent it to Mrs. Fu's email. The list included all the gifts I had given her over the past 3 years, from limited edition Hermes bags to jewelry acquired at Sotheby's auctions. And even the Chanel haute couture she wore. Each item was clearly marked with the purchase date and price, total value, exceeding 8 figures. At the end of the email, I added a sentence, "Mrs. Fu, since you believe I am unworthy of being the Fu family's daughter-in-law, these items should be returned to their rightful owner. Please have them packed within 24 hours. My driver will come to pick them up. Oh, and remember to clean and disinfect them. I find them dirty. After sending the email, I felt relieved. When dealing with such a person, you can't reason with her. If you reason with her, she'll appeal to family ties. If you appeal to family ties, she'll act shamelessly. Only by using what she cares about most, money and face, and hitting her hard with it will she finally understand human language. Sure enough, in less than half an hour, Mrs. Fu's call came through someone else's phone, her tone filled with furious, breathless yelling. I didn't answer. Let her yell. If she gets so angry it makes her sick, it'll save me from having to see her again in the future. Cruz Fu returned the following evening. He barged straight into my study, covered in dust and grime, with heavy dark circles under his eyes, looking utterly disheveled. Behind him, Lacey Song followed, weeping with a face full of tears. Nova Shin, how long are you going to keep this up? He slammed a document onto my desk, his voice filled with suppressed anger. Selling off shares. Teaming up with Lu Jing'an, and now upsetting my mother, just because I took Lacey out for a walk. Are you trying to destroy everything we have? I glanced at the document on the desk. It was a letter of intent for an overseas project collaboration with the Fu Corporation. The partner is precisely Lu Jing'an's biggest financial backer now. I raised my eyes and looked at Lacey Song behind him. Today, she was wearing a pink dress with a diamond necklace around her neck. That necklace was the one Cruz Fu bought at an auction a few days ago, saying it would be a gift for our 3rd anniversary. As a result, it was given to her. I laughed, so hard that tears nearly welled up in my eyes. Cruz Fu, do you think all of this you've done is just taking a break? He seemed provoked by my laughter, stepping forward and grabbing my wrist. Otherwise, Lacey, she's pregnant. His voice lowered, carrying a hint of barely perceptible guilt and resolve. Nova, I know I've wronged you in this matter, but the child is innocent. Please bear with it for now. Once I secure this project and stabilize the company, I'll give you an explanation. We can discuss the divorce later. He thought that by dropping this bombshell, I would break down, go mad, and compromise for the sake of the Shun family's reputation. Lacey Song also took the opportunity to puff out her belly, a triumphant smile on her face, her eyes full of provocation. The air seemed to freeze. I looked at them, but the smile on my face only grew wider. Pregnant, I applauded Lacey. Congratulations, President Fu, a double blessing. Cruz Fu's frown deepened. He didn't understand why I was reacting this way. I slowly stood up, walked over to him, took a document from the desk drawer, and slapped it down in front of him. But, President Fu, before I congratulate you, shouldn't I also tell you something? I leaned close to his ear and spoke in a voice only the two of us could hear, enunciating each word clearly. You, Cruz Fu, have a vas deferens obstruction and are infertile. This diagnostic report is from your physical examination a year ago, which you asked me to retrieve for you. I made sure to keep it safe for you. So, Cruz, I said, looking directly at his instantly pale face, my smile growing even brighter, tell me, whose bastard is she carrying in her belly? Cruz Fu's face instantly drained of color. He looked at me in disbelief, then sharply turned his gaze toward Lacey Song. His eyes were like knives, as if he wanted to subject Lacey Song to a slow and torturous death. Did you lie to me? Lacey Song was trembling with fear, stepping back repeatedly, her face as pale as paper. No, it's not, Brother Cruz. Let me explain. The child is yours. It really is yours. It's her. She forged the report to frame me. She pointed at me, screaming at the top of her lungs. I crossed my arms and watched the farce unfold with leisurely amusement. Fake, I scoffed. Mr. Fu, there are backup copies of diagnostic reports from over a dozen top-tier hospitals, both domestic and international, in my study's safe. Would you like to review them one by one? Or, we could go to the hospital right now, have her undergo an amniocentesis, and run a DNA test. Wouldn't that clear everything up? Cruz Fu staggered, as if all his strength had been drained from him. He stared fixedly at Lacey Song's flat stomach, his eyes filled with disgust and humiliation. He had been completely manipulated by this innocent girl he had always protected. Get out. Cruz Fu gritted his teeth and forced out a single word. Lacey Song rushed forward in tears, trying to grab his hand. Brother Cruz, I love you. I did all of this because I love you so much. Get out of here. Cruz Fu shoved her away abruptly. And Lacey Song lost her balance, falling to the ground. She lay on the floor, crying her heart out. Cruz Fu didn't even bother to look at her again. He turned around and looked at me with an extremely complex expression. There was shock, regret, and a hint of pleading. Nova, Mr. Fu. I interrupted coldly. The farce is over. You can take your people and leave my house. Also, the divorce agreement will be delivered to your office by my lawyer tomorrow. I hope you'll sign it as decisively as you did tonight. My words were like a bucket of ice water, extinguishing the last flicker of fire in his eyes. He staggered out, utterly disheartened and lost. Lacey Song's sobs still echoed in the living room. The butler, Uncle Jong, walked over and said to her expressionlessly, Miss Song, please. After everyone left, the whole world became quiet. I sent a message to Lu Jing'an. The fish has taken the bait, it's time to reel it in. Lu Jing'an replied instantly, the show begins. Does Cruz Fu think that by dealing with Lacey Song, he can come back and beg for my forgiveness, hoping to fix everything? He's making things too simple. The fire he lit with his own hands has only just begun to burn, and I will stand by, watching with my own eyes as he and everything he cherishes turn to ashes. Cruz Fu probably really thought that as long as he dealt with Lacey Song, there would still be room for reconciliation between us. At 3 o'clock in the morning that day, my phone abruptly lit up. It was a photo. Under the stark white light of the surgical lamp, Lacey Song was pinned to the cold operating table by 2 burly orderlies, her face streaked with tears, mouth open in a silent scream. Shortly after, Cruz Fu sent a message. I had the bastard in her womb aborted. Nova, I know I was wrong. The next day, he appeared downstairs at the Shun Group building, holding a large bouquet of fiery red roses. He wants to see me. I had the receptionist tell him that I'm very busy and don't have time. He waited downstairs from morning until night, attracting a crowd of onlookers. On the 3rd day, he changed his strategy and started sending me gifts. Today is the haute couture collection from my favorite jewelry brand, and tomorrow is the limited edition vinyl record I've always wanted to collect. I returned everything exactly as it was, without opening any of it. On the 4th day, he went directly to my dad. My dad scolded me over the phone, saying I shouldn't be so willful, that couples fight but make up quickly, and that I should give him away to save face. I immediately replied, Dad, you were the one who said that the Shun family's daughter would never suffer the slightest grievance. There was silence on the other end of the line. I know my father is soft-hearted, he loves me, but he also values the cooperation between the Shun and Fu families. Cruz Fu seized on this point. Trying to take the family route, unfortunately, he miscalculated. On the weekend, I was at home helping my mom arrange flowers when Cruz Fu barged in unannounced. He had lost a lot of weight, his beard was unkempt, and his suit was wrinkled, completely lacking his usual confident demeanor. In his hand, he carried an exquisite gift box containing my mom's favorite tea. Mom, he said in a hoarse voice, forcing an ingratiating smile, I came to see you. My mother glanced at me and said nothing, which was her silent consent for him to come in. Nova, he walked up to me, his eyes bloodshot and filled with pleading. Can we talk, please, just this once? I put down the flower scissors in my hand and wiped my hands. Got it. I took him to the pavilion in the garden. He took a velvet box out from his chest, opened it, and inside was a diamond ring exactly like the one I had thrown away before. Nova, I know I was wrong. He grabbed my hand, trying to put the ring on my finger. It was my fault. I was blinded and deceived by that bitch Lacey Song. Forgive me. Let's start over, okay? His hands were cold and trembling slightly. I looked at him and suddenly felt it was somewhat ridiculous. Cruz Fu, do you think all the problems are because of Lacey Song? He froze. Isn't that so? Of course not. I withdrew my hand and looked into his eyes. The problem lies with you. You were the one who broke the trust between us. You couldn't control yourself. You were the one who single-handedly destroyed our marriage. Lacey Song is merely a projection of your inner desires. If it weren't Lacey Song, there would be a Jong Lacey or a Lee Lacey in the future. I picked up that ring and, under his hopeful gaze, casually tossed it into the nearby pond. Cruz Fu, I find it dirty. The light in his eyes completely went out. After I rejected him, Cruz Fu seemed like a completely different person. He no longer bothered me. Instead, pouring all his energy into his work, trying to salvage the decline of the Fu family's business. As for Lacey Song, after being abandoned by Cruz Fu, she completely lost her mind. First, she caused a scene at the Fu group, only to be dragged out by security. Then she started posting online, claiming she was pregnant with Cruz Fu's child but was heartlessly abandoned, even attaching a few ambiguous photos to portray herself as a lovesick and pitiful victim. For a moment, Cruz Fu was thrust into the spotlight. The stock price of the Fu family's company plummeted once again in response. This was exactly what Lu Jing'an and I had hoped to see. Public opinion is a double-edged sword. Wielded skillfully, it can destroy someone without a trace. Cruz Fu was overwhelmed dealing with the public relations crisis, while Lu Jing'an seized the opportunity to launch his acquisition plan. He first publicly announced that he would form a strategic partnership with Fu Corporation's archrival, the European Nolan Group. The news further worsened Fu Corporation's already precarious overseas market situation. Shortly after, Lu Jing'an began secretly reaching out to the wavering shareholders within Fu Corporation. Intimidation, bribery, the tactics Cruz Fu once used against him were now returned twofold. Soon, the board of directors of the Fu Corporation became a disorganized mess. Cruz Fu was abandoned by his allies and besieged both internally and externally. I watch the financial news about the Fu family's miserable situation every day, and it makes me incredibly happy. That day, Amy knocked on the door and came in, looking a bit strange. "President Shen, there's a Miss Song who wants to see you." I raised an eyebrow. "Lacey Song, what does she want with me? Let her in." A few minutes later, Lacey Song walked in. She looked even more haggard than Cruz Fu, with deep-set eyes, wearing cheap clothes, and the arrogant aura she once had was completely gone. She stood still in front of me, then plopped down and knelt. "Miss Shen, I beg you, please save me," she cried, saying that after she exposed the truth, instead of receiving sympathy, she was doxxed and cyberbullied by the entire internet. She has now lost her job. Her reputation is ruined, and she owes a huge amount of high-interest loans. "It's all Cruz Fu, it's all his fault," she said through gritted teeth. "He promised that as long as I helped him put on this act, he would give me a large sum of money and send me abroad once it was done. He said he's had enough of you long ago, said you're domineering and boring, like a robot. He said he needs an obedient woman to provoke you, to make you jealous, and to make you care about him more." I listened quietly, my face expressionless. "So, you came to me to ask for my help in dealing with him?" "Yes." She lifted her head, her eyes filled with frenzied hatred. "As long as you can help me pay off my debts and let me start over, I can do anything for you. I can hold a press conference and tell everyone the truth. I want to ruin his reputation." I looked at her face, twisted with jealousy and hatred, and suddenly smiled. I took out my phone and pressed the record button. "All right," I said. "Repeat what you just said one more time." Lacey Song thought she had found a lifeline and, without hesitation, recounted her and Cruz Fu's plan with added exaggeration. Every detail was filled with venomous resentment toward Cruz Fu. After she finished speaking, I put away my phone with satisfaction. "Good." Lacey Song looked at me expectantly. "So, my money." I stood up, walked over to her, and looked down at her from above. "Miss Song, have you misunderstood something? Why should I help you?" Lacey Song's expression froze. You said." "I told you to say it again, not that I would help you." I smiled like an innocent demon. "Someone like you, who would betray Cruz Fu for money today, would betray me for money tomorrow. Why should I invest in trash?" Lacey Song's face instantly turned a purplish red, and she abruptly stood up from the ground, wanting to lunge at me. "Nova Shin, you tricked me." Amy and the security guards who rushed in stopped her in time. "Throw her out," I said calmly. "Nova Shin, you bitch, I won't let you get away with this. All of you will die a miserable death." Lacey Song's curses were shut out by the door. I sent the recording to Lu Jing'an, a gift for you. Half an hour later, the recording appeared online. The title read, Annual Drama. Tycoon CEO hires mistress to fake pregnancy in bid to win back wife. In the recording, Lacey Song's voice was crystal clear, portraying Cruz Fu as a despicable and shameless scumbag who toyed with emotions. The entire internet exploded. Netizens who had previously sympathized with Lacey Song quickly turned their criticism toward Cruz Fu and Lacey Song. The hashtag #CruzFuGetOutOfBusiness was pushed to the top of the trending list. Fu Corporation's stock price hit the lower limit immediately after the market opened. The board of directors held an emergency meeting overnight and removed Cruz Fu from his position as CEO. The business empire he built with his own hands ruthlessly expelled him overnight. I sat in the office, watching the bustling traffic outside the window, and took a sip of the coffee Amy had just brewed. It smells wonderful. Lu Jing'an's call came through, his voice brimming with irrepressible laughter. Nova, your move of killing with a borrowed knife is truly brilliant. Likewise, I chuckled. Without your fanning the flames, this fire wouldn't have burned so fiercely. Tonight, would you like to celebrate together? He extended the invitation, for our shared victory. All right, I thought, it's time to put a perfect end to this farce. The celebration took place on Lu Jing'an's private yacht. The evening breeze was gentle, and the night view over the river was beautiful. I clinked glasses with Lu Jing'an. The Fu family is finished, Lu Jing'an remarked, gazing at the distant lights. What remains are just vultures feasting on the carcass. Thank you, I said sincerely. I should be the one thanking you. He turned his head, his peach blossom eyes looking especially earnest in the night. If it weren't for you, I might never have had the chance for revenge. He paused for a moment and suddenly asked, what are your plans next? Travel, read, or maybe open a flower shop? I shrugged. Who knows? Aren't you planning to take over the Shen family business? My dad is still young. I laughed. I just want to live an easy life. We exchanged a smile. And everything was understood without words. Just then, my phone rang. It's an unfamiliar number. I answered the call, and on the other end came Cruz Fu's hoarse, desperate voice. Nova Shen, I'm on the rooftop, the top floor of the Fu building. My heart sank abruptly. You win. He sounded like he was crying. Or maybe laughing. I've lost everything. Home, career, lover, all gone. Nova, tell me, what did those 3 years of ours even mean? Did you ever love me? His voice trembled in the wind, carrying a final, humble plea. I remained silent for a long time. The sound of the yacht's horn and the lapping of the river water grew distant. I held my phone, gazing at the dazzling city skyline in the distance, where he had once lit up an entire building for me. I loved you. I heard myself say calmly, because I loved, that's why I can't forgive. Cruz Fu, it was you who personally killed my love. On the other end of the phone, there was a long, dead silence. Then, I heard a soft chuckle from him, like relief, yet also like self-mockery. I understand. Nova, in the end, can I ask you one more question? Speak. My infertility report, it's also fake, isn't it? For a moment, my breath hitched. I didn't answer, but he seemed to already know the answer. Heh. Ha 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 ha. He laughed maniacally. So, from the very beginning, I lost, utterly and completely. Nova Shen, you are ruthless. After saying this, the call was hung up. I held the phone. Standing in place, motionless for a long time, Lu Jing'an walked over, and Lacey patted my shoulder. He will be fine. I know. I nodded. People like Cruz Fu value their lives the most. He is just unwilling to accept it. Cruz Fu did not jump off the building. He just wanted to use this method to win my last bit of sympathy, or perhaps to leave an indelible thorn in my heart. Unfortunately, I have long been immune to all poisons. A few days later, the Fu Group announced bankruptcy and restructuring. Lu Jing'an swiftly acquired the core assets of the Fu Group, rising to become a prominent new figure in the business world. As for Cruz Fu, he completely vanished from the public eye. I heard he sold all his assets just to barely pay off his debts and is now living a rough life in an unknown small city. As for Lacey Song, her fate is even worse. The loan sharks couldn't find Cruz Fu, so they put all the blame on her. She was caught on camera being chased and beaten on the street, looking utterly disheveled. Later, there was no more news of her. All those who have hurt me have received their due retribution. This months-long turmoil has finally come to an end. I took a very long vacation for myself. I went to Iceland to see the northern lights, skied in Switzerland, and watched the animal migration on the African savanna. I did everything I had wanted to do but hadn't had time for in the past 3 years. 6 months later, I returned to my home country. At the airport, I unexpectedly ran into Lu Jingen. He is more composed than before, with a spirited and confident look in his eyes. What a coincidence, he greeted with a smile. Yes, what a coincidence. If you don't mind, can I give you a ride? All right. In the car, we chatted about recent happenings. His company is doing very well, and my flower shop is about to open. By the way, he suddenly remembered something, and handed me an envelope from the passenger seat. This, I think, should be given to you. I opened it with confusion. Inside, there was a divorce agreement, and a letter. The letter was written by Cruz Fu. With messy handwriting that revealed the turmoil in his state of mind at the time. The letter was long, filled with nothing but regretful nonsense. He said he only used Lacey Song to make me jealous at first, never expecting her to get pregnant, nor did he think things would spiral so out of control. He said he loves me, and from beginning to end, it's only ever been me. I quickly skimmed through it, feeling nothing but irony, until the last line of words caught my eye. Nova, if time could rewind, I would have knelt down and begged you the moment you took off the ring. I tore the letter and the divorce agreement into pieces without any expression. Then I rolled down the car window and let the fragments scatter with the wind. Lu Jingen watched me through the rearview mirror without saying a word. The car pulled up to my doorstep. Thank you. I unbuckled my seatbelt. Nova, he suddenly called out to me. You're free. He looked at me, a sincere smile in his peach blossom eyes. I wish you eternal freedom. I was taken aback for a moment. Then I smiled too. Thank you, you too. Yes, I am free, completely liberated from a failed marriage and a mistaken relationship. The future is still long, and I will live more brilliantly than ever with my freedom. Here is the second article. At the engagement party, my fiancé was called away by a single phone call from his mistress. Afterwards, she taunted me, saying, "We are the true love." Ezra Zheng would stop a plane to chase her, abandon a business alliance marriage, and even spend 500 million just to catch a glimpse of her in the hands of kidnappers. What am I, compared to that? I smiled faintly without speaking. Oh, the pitiful creature who thinks she's loved. How I look forward to the expression on her face when her dreams shatter. Mr. Zheng is missing, the waiter frantically reported to me. I casually smoothed my hair and admired the $100 million look in the full-length mirror, thoroughly pleased. If it's gone, it's gone. Inform the guests to move to the grand hall upstairs. Let's have an extraordinary and magnificent ball. How could my billion-dollar styling just go to waste like that? The engagement banquet abruptly transformed into a high society ball, even if it was untimely. Who among the present would dare to speak out of turn in front of me? With a graceful smile, I personally hosted the ball, observing the confusion on everyone's faces but offering no further explanation. As expected, no one dared to comment, and everyone calmly went through the entire process as if they had long known it was just an ordinary high society ball. The banquet ended with all guests and hosts in high spirits. Since Ezra Zheng dared to disappear during the engagement party, it was only natural for me to demand an explanation. The elders of both families were very satisfied with my ability to handle the situation on the spot, but at the same time, the anger towards Ezra Zheng's antics grew even more intense. Absurd. How old are you? Can't you even distinguish the seriousness of the occasion? Is this matter of sky-falling importance something you must personally attend to? Leaving Lena behind, Madame Zheng struck her cane forcefully, scolding Ezra Zheng with a face full of fury. The elder Mr. Zheng passed away early, and in those days, the Zheng family was surrounded by wolves and tigers. It was this matriarch who wielded thunderous authority to stabilize the Zheng family's position and suppress many ambitious schemes. In high society, there is no one who does not show her a measure of respect. Even though she is now old and her eyes are dim, it doesn't mean she is senile. The marriage between Ezra Zheng and me was orchestrated by this old lady herself. Ezra Zheng lowered his eyes, his posture humble. The dark circles under his eyes and the bloodshot whites made it clear he hadn't slept for nights. His spirit worn and weary, he remained silent, obediently accepting the old lady's reprimands. This was his usual demeanor. In front of elders, he was always the picture of a repentant and well-behaved man. The old lady had been scolding for so long that she grew tired, and with Mrs. Zheng constantly trying to placate her with kind words, she eventually grew annoyed. Turning to me, she put on a warm smile again. "Lena, it's that rascal Ezra Zheng who's wronged you. Feel free to hit or scold him however you like. You two grew up together, and you know how his brain sometimes short-circuits and he does stupid things. But deep down, he's not a bad kid. However you want to handle this, just let him make it up to you." I was admiring my freshly done manicure when suddenly being put on the spot, so I could only respond with a polite smile. "I don't mind much. Ezra often surprises me like this. I'm used to it by now, but my parents are a bit confused, so they specifically dragged me here to ask, does the Zheng family have any issues with me, or with my Pei family?" The final note faded, leaving the room so silent you could hear a pin drop. Who dares to voice any objections against the Pei family? The Pei family may be the new tech elite in Haicheng, but they are the last ones you'd want to cross. Founded under the leadership of CEO Pei, the family's influence has expanded more than tenfold in just over a decade, forcing even the established old money families of Haicheng to step aside. Among Mr. Pei's 3 children, the least promising one is sitting right in front of them. Yet, even this least promising individual, upon entering the jewelry industry a few years ago, quickly rose to become one of the top players in the field. Mrs. Zheng originally favored my eldest sister as the ideal marriage candidate. Unfortunately, my sister didn't take a liking to Ezra Zheng. Although Ezra Zheng is highly capable, he still falls short of being a match for the heir of the Pei family. Settling for second best, "I'm the perfect candidate." Lena Pei. This was Ezra Zheng's first utterance since arriving today. "Let's talk privately if there's anything." He gave me a covert glance, his eyes shadowed. I raised an eyebrow slightly, thinking this was interesting, and was quite willing to humor him. "Fine, then we'll handle it ourselves. No need to trouble the elders. Speak up. What's the meaning of running away from the engagement banquet? Giving me attitude?" I crossed my arms, glaring at him with displeasure. Ezra Zheng pulled out a cigarette, lit it, took 2 deep drags, then threw it to the ground under my disgusted gaze and crushed it with his shoe. "Myra Liu is pregnant." I scoffed lightly. "None of my damn business. That's your mistress, your little fling. I certainly don't have the ability to get her pregnant with my kid. Besides, I remember warning you to cut ties with her cleanly. I don't care who you're with, but I hate trouble and she doesn't seem like the quiet type. You've always looked down on me," Ezra Zheng blurted out. Straying from the topic, I answered without hesitation, "I don't see anything about you worth my respect." Ezra Zheng chuckled softly. "Then why did you agree to marry me?" "I need a husband in name, and you need a wife in name. As luck would have it, this husband and wife can bring each other tremendous benefits." My answer was so matter-of-fact that it sent Ezra Zheng into fits of laughter like a madman. I was about to go up and kick him when his face suddenly darkened, and he asked, "Then do you believe in love?" I scoffed. "Only fools believe in that nonsense." That day, Ezra Zheng dragged me into a conversation as if he were drunk, rambling on like an idiot, constantly beating around the bush about love or whatever, until my ears were calloused from listening. I had always thought his attitude toward Myra Liu was just for fun, but now perhaps I need to reconsider. In the end, we reached some kind of strange agreement. The marriage would still proceed, but it would be held after Myra Liu gave birth to the child. I continued my daily routine of indulging in food, drink, and entertainment, spending money like water and living an extravagantly luxurious life. When in a good mood, I'd go to the office for a couple of days to fulfill my duties as CEO. Perhaps out of some strange sense of guilt, my parents and siblings kept transferring more and more money into my account, to the point where I could barely keep up with my reckless spending. Day after day, I drowned myself in dreams and intoxication, almost forgetting what era I was living in. Little did I expect trouble to arrive so unexpectedly. The banquet ended, and having been plied with quite a bit of alcohol, my steps were unsteady. Though my mind remained relatively clear, I lazily leaned on a man's shoulder, letting him support me, the young master of the fallen noble family. The Lee family. I knew what kind of scheme he was plotting, and I was happy to play along, considering he was at least somewhat decent. Just then, someone blocked my path. I lazily lifted my eyelids, didn't recognize him. The woman's makeup was bright and striking, her figure tall and slender, wearing flat shoes that didn't quite match her evening gown, yet her expression carried a somewhat haughty air. "Miss Pei, I've long heard of your reputation. It's a pleasure to finally meet you today." I didn't recognize her, but I could tell she meant trouble, so I retorted sharply, "I attend banquets like this every day. How come I'm only seeing you today? What? Were you not qualified to attend such events before?" The woman was choked up, unable to retort, because every word I said hit her where it hurt. "I'm Myra Liu," she said, her chin slightly raised, exuding an air of arrogance as if I should naturally know who she was. "Never heard of you. A good dog doesn't block the way. Get lost." Myra Liu's face twisted in anger for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. "I just came today to advise Miss Pei that a marriage without love is like a pair of glass slippers that don't fit, glamorous to outsiders but agonizing in reality." I burst out laughing, unable to resist teasing. "Then has anyone told you that a woman without status is called a mistress, and a child without status is called a bastard?" Myra Liu turned pale, my words cut like knives, carving into her heart. "Lena Pei, Ezra Zheng, and I are the ones truly in love. You're the one standing in the way. Aren't you even a little curious about what Ezra Zheng ran off to do on the day of your engagement?" I pick at my ear. "Probably off on some shady rendezvous with a despicable bug. His taste has always been terrible, and his preferences rather peculiar." Myra Liu is so furious that veins bulge at her temples, but she doesn't forget her objective, forcing out a triumphant tone. "That day, I left the pregnancy test results behind and boarded a flight abroad. Ezra intercepted the plane and came personally to beg me to stay. Suddenly, it all makes sense to me. I was wondering why Ezra Jing suddenly borrowed money from me for no reason. Turns out he couldn't cover the hush money and compensation after stopping the plane. Acting cool feels great, but don't force it if your wallet can't keep up." I watched her with amusement, debating whether to reveal the truth. I'd love to see Ezra Zheng's image shatter in his mistress's eyes. On second thought, forget it. Better not screw over a business partner, it'd make me look untrustworthy. Myra Liu, seeing my prolonged silence, thought she had grasped my weakness. "Ezra has told me everything. There's no affection between you two, it's purely a partnership of convenience." I silently agreed that much was true. "If that's the case, Miss Pei, why cling to him so desperately? Everyone should pursue their true love. Ezra has already found his. So why insist on keeping someone who doesn't love you by your side?" The tale of having the body but not the heart is far too cliched. I was stunned. "You're saying I'm clinging to him desperately?" I was almost laughing in anger. That idiot Ezra Zheng is two-faced, bad-mouthing me without hesitation to placate his mistress. Myra Liu sneered at my reaction. "Or is it that Ezra can't bear to part with you? Miss Pei, do you really enjoy meddling in other people's relationships this much?" I laughed genuinely. Ezra Zheng's taste in partners is as appalling as his character, utterly incapable of telling who's truly in charge. Allow me to kindly remind the forgetful Miss Homewrecker, my engagement with Ezra Zheng is common knowledge among the entire high society of Hai Cheng. The cancellation of the engagement party doesn't mean the engagement is off. I hope the other party has some self-awareness about who the real third wheel is. Myra Liu was incredulous, shrieking sharply, "You still plan to marry Ezra, Lena Pei? How shameless can you be?" I raised an eyebrow slightly. "Open marriage, clearly. You wouldn't understand that, you bumpkin." Myra Liu was so furious her chest heaved uncontrollably. Her purpose in deliberately blocking me today was to annoy me, making me self-aware enough to give up on Ezra Zheng. But how could she understand? For people like us, marriage is about the family power behind it. As for what kind of garbage the actual marriage partner is, it doesn't matter at all. The understanding between Ezra Zheng and me is that we each do our own thing, neither interfering with the other, and not bringing trouble into the marriage is the bottom line. But it seems Myra Liu just can't grasp this bottom line. Her face turned ashen, her brightly colored red lips trembling slightly as she desperately tried to find her shattered dignity by belittling me. Lena Pei, you were just born lucky. What else do you have to show for yourself? Ezra is the sole heir of the Zheng family, his abilities and looks are outstanding in every way. What makes you worthy of him? Besides eating, drinking, and having fun, what other skills do you have? He doesn't love you, and you don't love him either. There's no love between you, and you're not even a good match. How can you still have the nerve to marry him? This level of damage was too low to stir even the slightest ripple in me. Before I could open my mouth to deliver the final blow, Li Juo couldn't hold back and snapped first. She's not good enough for Ezra Zheng, and you think you're qualified. If I remember correctly, you're just an internet celebrity who got famous from a dance show, constantly marketing your daily life with a mysterious wealthy boyfriend. Does Ezra Zheng even know you're using him to attract attention and make money? I was shocked. How do you know all this? Li Juo scoffed. She signed under my friend's agency. She tried to seduce my buddy before but failed. Who knows how she ended up with Ezra Zheng? Myra Liu didn't expect Li Juo to suddenly intervene and expose all her secrets. Instantly flushing red with anger, she stumbled back 2 steps in panic, her footing unsteady, nearly losing her balance. The next moment, she hunched over, clutching her abdomen with a pained and slightly contorted expression, moaning, My stomach hurts so bad, the baby, my baby." I was utterly impressed by this masterful display of acting. I could already guess how this script was going to play out. Sure enough, the next second, Ezra Zheng's furious voice rang out, "Lena Pei, what are you doing?" Ezra Zheng's heroic rescue was impeccably timed, his tall frame providing strong support for the teetering Myra Liu. With a tense expression, he asked carefully, "Myra, are you okay?" Myra Liu's eyes brimmed with tears as she looked up at him pitifully. "Ezra, my stomach hurts so much." That drawn-out, melodramatic tone sent shivers down my spine. "I'll take you to the hospital." Ezra Zheng, oozing with boyfriend energy, scooped her up in a grand princess carry. Before leaving, he even made sure to throw a threatening remark my way. "Lena Pei, you breached the contract first. If anything happens to Myra, I'll hold you accountable." "Screw your damn contract." Li Juo rolled his eyes dramatically. Did they just get discharged from the hospital? I couldn't agree more. In low spirits, under Li Juo's disappointed gaze, I waved and said goodbye to him. Returning home, unexpectedly, in the middle of the night, the whole family was neatly gathered, waiting for me. "What's the occasion? I must be really important today," I joked playfully. Reaching out to take the hot soup handed to me by the nanny, my eldest sister barely lifted her eyelids, her tone full of authority as she spoke. "Where have you been fooling around again?" "In front of my family, I'm just a carefree and unrestrained rogue, always joking around and never serious. Where else could I go? None of you were willing to grace Shu Tai's birthday party with your presence, so I went as the family representative to show my face. The Shu family still deserves your personal attention." My eldest sister scoffed. "More likely, you were chasing after Ezra Zheng." I shrugged helplessly. "I honestly didn't know he'd be there. My mother is a gentle beauty." Her slender brows slightly furrowed as she softly asked, "Lena, tell me honestly, what are your true feelings about Ezra Zheng?" "No feelings, just a regular fiancé. But he's already had a child with another woman." Mother's voice was full of hesitation. "They sure are well informed." I scratched my head. "Well, I'm used to it. The Pei family's bunch of hopeless romantics just can't comprehend my views on marriage and relationships. I think it's necessary to be more blunt. Dad, Mom, I really don't mind. I'll never have children for Ezra Zheng. Oh wait, I never planned to have any in this lifetime. But if Ezra Zheng wants an heir, why not let him choose someone he actually likes? Saves trouble and hassle. I know my ideas are hard for the public to accept, but there's no helping it. I just love doing things this way. I don't love Ezra Zheng, and he doesn't love me, but coincidentally, our marriage would bring enormous benefits. And these benefits happen to be exactly what we both crave. Seen this way, we're a match made in heaven." Mom sighs in frustration. Her thinking is, if I'm not so madly in love with Ezra Jing that I've lost my senses, why won't I just call off the engagement? You've grown up, and it's good to have your own thoughts. Dad finally spoke, his voice steady and firm. But I hope you can distinguish what is more important in your heart. I nodded obediently. I know my limits. What's important? I don't know, but it certainly can't be love and marriage. After much persuasion, I finally managed to convince them to go back to their room and rest. I drank the hangover soup and sat in the living room for a while. After going through the pile of unread messages, I finally decided to go back to my room to sleep. I walked quietly down the hallway, heading toward the room at the far end of the third floor. Unexpectedly, as I passed by one of the rooms, I heard a faint creaking sound. I turned my head and saw my eldest sister standing there in a bathrobe, staring at me with an inscrutable gaze. I blinked my eyes and obediently called out, "Sis, aren't you going to sleep yet?" Elder sister silently stared at me for a long time, staring so intently that my scalp tingled. My mind raced through all the foolish things I'd done in the past month like a storm, nothing too outrageous. Though, where had I offended this great demon lord again? I was puzzled but didn't dare speak up. Fearless against all else since childhood, I always turned into a coward whenever facing elder sister, Lena Pei. The elder sister's voice was slightly hoarse, her tone very solemn. I immediately straightened up, standing tall. "Go ahead," I said. "I don't believe I'm so useless that my younger sister needs to enter a political marriage to uphold the Pei family. I don't need any of you to make sacrifices for me or for the Pei family that would only prove my incompetence." I let out a sigh of relief. "What a trivial matter," I said cheerfully. "To me, this isn't a sacrifice. I know you can't understand, but in my eyes, marriage itself is an exchangeable value. I'm trading something I consider worthless for an immeasurable future that has nothing to do with sacrifice." My eldest sister frowned deeply. "Do you really not love Ezra Jing?" I tilted my head and smirked mischievously. "Rather than loving him, I'd say I love the identity of the Jing heir. My fiancé is called the Jing heir, and in the future, my husband should be the one who holds power in the Jing family." "Why?" The eldest sister gradually calmed down, but she was still puzzled. I met her gaze without flinching. "Sis, my marriage, just like your freedom, is only worthy of being a stepping stone to success." The eldest sister and I locked eyes for a long time before she finally sighed in defeat. "Between sisters, I don't want to say thank you." She patted my shoulder. "Wishing you success." I curled the corner of my lips. "Wish me success. My career must also flourish. Marrying into the Jing family will help the Pei family take a big leap forward. Which was originally my goal. Compared to this, everything else seems insignificant. But it seems that some people can't stand to see me succeed easily." I gazed coldly at the trending search term marked with the word hot. Huachi's 3 heiresses' private lives, multiple men and 1 woman. I let out a cold laugh and clicked in, only to find a collection of speculative photos. The so-called multiple men and 1 woman were merely photos of me entering and exiting various high-end venues with different toys, including Lee Duo from that day. The camera angles are all deliberately suggestive, making it look like either passionate kissing or flirting, and the phrase multiple men with 1 woman is clearly ambiguous. My expression turned cold as I scrolled through the comments section. "Money sure is great, men are like clothes, changed at will. Am I here to see this multiple men with 1 woman? Don't the insiders know what we want to see? Give us something more explosive or we'll demand this trend be taken down." The chairman of Huachi had always built up the image of a devoted husband, and the young CEO Pei also marketed himself as the strict husband in charge. Who would have thought the family's black sheep would turn out to be here, laughing so hard? I just remembered that trending topic from before. Romantics are born in wealthy families. The second son of Huachi also had a mistress he was obsessed with, and some people dragged the entire Pei family into it. Now the third daughter is slapping back hard with receipts. This private life is next-level chaotic. Look at the timestamps in the bottom left corner. The shortest interval is just 5 hours. The use and discard approach is way too obvious, gotta say. The third princess has quite diverse tastes. Each of them is uniquely handsome in their own way. I heard Hua Qi is engaged to the young master of the Zheng family. Does this count as blatant cheating? Upstairs, spill the tea. What engagement? Which Zheng family's young master? Tell us now. I pressed my fingers against my forehead and rubbed hard. Though it was just ordinary gossip, the public sentiment wasn't favorable. I quickly called my elder sister to discuss removing the trending topic, ensuring Hua Qi's stock market performance and reputation wouldn't be affected by this matter. The phone had barely been hung up when a new message popped in through the top window. I clicked it open, my eyes dark as I read every word. Bang! The phone shattered into pieces. I pressed my finger against the center of my forehead, lowering my voice with a cold laugh. Myra Liu truly has no regard for her own life. And as for those backing her, I refuse to believe that without someone fanning the flames, a minor internet celebrity like her could have the audacity to push me onto the trending list. None of these people will escape unscathed. Crash, glass shattered, thick liquor spreading across the floor. I looked down coldly at Ezra Zheng. Have I been too lenient with you lately, daring to scheme against me? Ezra Zheng's face was haggard. He clutched his hair uncontrollably, ignoring the bleeding wound on his forehead as the blood trickled down. It wasn't me, he rasped. It was that bastard. My father acknowledged him and brought him home. Oh, I sneered. Ezra Zheng, have you really become so useless that you can't even deal with a bastard now? I had never met the Zheng family's bastard before, but Ezra Zheng and I were engaged. It was clear the bastard was targeting Ezra, and I was just collateral damage. Ezra Zheng remained silent. The Zheng family had been in turmoil recently, and Myra Liu had been causing repeated scenes. Neither his career nor his personal life was going smoothly. My father dotes on him and has given him plenty of resources and connections, which has inflated his ambitions. He's doing this to sabotage our arranged marriage and clip my wings. Or rather, he wants to take my place. Ezra Zheng finally spoke, his gaze cold and steady as he met my eyes. What does that have to do with me, Ezra Zheng? You need to understand I, Lena Pei, am not marrying you, but the heir of the Zheng family. In other words, the engagement will proceed as scheduled. Before that, whoever has the capability to secure the heir's position will be my groom, and afterward, Hua Qi will naturally step in to help him sweep away all obstacles. I coldly revealed the truth, seeing no surprise in Ezra Zheng's eyes. From the very beginning, we both understood that this marriage was purely an exchange of interests. Devoid of any genuine affection, before leaving, I glanced back at Ezra Zheng one last time. In the dim corner of the sofa, his jaw was clenched, and crimson blood dripped down the side of his face, adding a touch of ferocity. I offered a piece of well-intentioned advice. Ezra Zheng, don't tell me you've held onto your position as the Zheng family heir for the past 27 years simply because your father didn't have a second child. If you're soft-hearted, just quit this game. I promise I won't laugh at you. I'm not sure how much truth there is in Ezra Zheng's words, but my goal has already been achieved. No matter who the hidden instigator is, as long as his last name is Zheng, it's not convenient for me to personally step in and teach him a lesson. Let them fight among themselves, battling it out to the death. It saves me the effort, and I can even secretly stir the pot without worrying about earning anyone's resentment. A faint smile curled at the corners of my lips as I finalized my plans in my mind. No one understood the weight of those words better than I did. After today, the battle between Ezra Zheng and his illegitimate brother would officially begin. Maximizing gains, that was where my true expertise lay. To let my fiancé focus on the internal power struggle and settle the score, I'll take care of that little flea Myra Liu myself. I've always been a considerate fiancé. Ezra Zheng has been protecting Myra Liu quite well. It took me quite some effort to get first-hand information about her. Tianzi Bay, every inch of land is worth its weight in gold. Ezra Zheng is truly generous with his spending. I casually flipped through the materials and let out a disdainful scoff. Chen Ju sat on the sofa with his legs crossed, an unlit cigarette dangling from his lips as he spoke indistinctly. How did this little internet celebrity manage to offend you? Is it really worth the effort to personally go after her? With just a glance from you, Miss Pei, plenty would be willing to go through fire and water just to amuse you. Bored out of my mind. And incidentally checking out Ezra Zheng's taste, I don't want to end up in a marriage alliance with someone who's short-sighted. Chen Ju chuckled. The first part is the real truth, isn't it? Didn't you take over the semiconductor chip chain from your sister at Huachi? That thing is now one of Huachi's major projects. Your sister trusted you enough to hand it over completely. And here you are claiming you're just bored. I picked up a pen and threw it. Who asked you to teach me how to do things? It's rare to find some fun to lift my spirits, and now I have to be lectured, ruining my mood. Chen Ju chuckled and raised his hands in surrender. All right, my bad, I'll make it up to you. Whatever the young mistress commands, this servant is at your disposal. The corners of my lips curled up as I spoke with ill intent. Myra Liu cares so much about her image, doesn't she, the goddess of classical dance? The refined lady from an intellectual family, the beloved darling of her mysterious wealthy boyfriend. These labels are so glamorous, I'd love to give her a unique surprise. Chen Ju shuddered violently and clicked his tongue. The way you're smiling right now is downright chilling. The hot search is trending again. The inside story of the wealthy family's dance troupe, the rise of the dancers. Clicking into the homepage reveals a high-definition video. Several women with stunning figures and extraordinary beauty are dancing with enchanting grace on stage, smiling radiantly, while not overly revealing. Their performance is undeniably alluring and captivating. The camera shifts slightly, the image somewhat blurry, but sharp-eyed viewers can still make out a few audience members in the video. It didn't take long for people to match the faces, only to realize they were all familiar tycoons from the rich list. OMG, this is explosive. Is this the extravagant life of the wealthy? I'd be willing to live like this for just one day. Luxury cars, mansions, I'd take it all. How bold. Who leaked this to the trending list? Our CEO Wang is furious. Why hasn't the platform taken it down yet? You linked the wrong post. Do you want to taste CEO Wang's special fried squid? I just skimmed through a certain list and recognized several faces. Oh my god. Who dares to expose these people? Where's your focus? I'm the only one curious about that dancer's rise to fame, right? Who's this even about? I know, I just read a 20-page PDF. Here's the summary. A certain dancer caught the eye of a wealthy heir, who personally asked for her from someone else, then kept her as a mistress. Here's the kicker. Rumor has it, it's some shady, under-the-table relationship, upstairs. I think I know who it is. Took a few bites of the gossip. Is it that Liu surname internet celebrity? Oh, I know her. Isn't her video location tagged as Tianzi Bay? The comments are all like respected Tianzi Bay homeowner. And isn't she in a great relationship with her wealthy boyfriend? He even speaks in her live streams sometimes. Stop kidding yourself. Isn't the video clear enough? A quick glance at the face is all it takes to tell who's who. If she were really a Tianzi Bay homeowner, would she be here performing seductive dances for others, with one hand? I tapped the desk with curved fingers while scrolling through the comments with the other. Manipulating public opinion is child's play. Just drop a few comments with a mix of truth and lies, and the internet will fill in the rest effortlessly. If Myra Liu had obediently stayed as Ezra Zheng's little mistress without coming to irritate me, I wouldn't have minded him keeping her until she died. Unfortunately, she overstepped her bounds. I wouldn't have cared if she just dreamed of climbing the social ladder. I might even have enjoyed amusing myself by toying with her to pass the time. But scheming against me is one thing, affecting the Pei family because of it is entirely another. Everything about the Pei family, whether it's my parents, siblings, or Hua Qi, is my, Lena Pei's, inviolable bottom line. Anyone who dares to touch them must be prepared to pay a devastating price. My fingers, which had been tapping on the desk, paused. After a moment's thought, I clicked into the video platform, and sure enough, Myra Liu had started a live stream. That makes sense. The impact was too significant. Even if she wasn't in a hurry, the MCN agency behind her must be anxious by now. Myra Liu had applied light makeup, presenting an ethereal and aloof image, completely different from the radiant and bold look I had seen that day. She gracefully tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her voice cool and composed. It's just AI video synthesis. The suggestive comments in the section clearly show someone is out to get me. Today, I'm just making a statement to everyone. This is something I, Myra Liu, would never stoop to do. My family is well off, and my boyfriend and I are a perfect match. Why would I degrade myself? This matter ends here. Don't discuss it in my comment section anymore. As for the mastermind behind this, my boyfriend has decided to send a legal warning. He will pay the price for his actions. Let it be known that spreading rumors isn't cost-free. I couldn't help but laugh. Even now, she's still putting on airs, not showing a hint of urgency. Has she not seen the latest trending topic? Industry experts have already confirmed the video isn't deepfake or synthesized, it's genuine footage. As for Ezra Zheng, he's currently dealing with serious troubles at home and has no energy to care about his little mistress's situation. The illegitimate child of the Zheng family is essentially worthless and can't amount to anything. His meager capabilities are completely insignificant among the wealthy second generation in Haicheng, let alone compared to the heir meticulously groomed by the Zheng family for 27 years. Unfortunately, that illegitimate child is the son of Ezra Zheng's father's first love. With the first love deceased, the only remaining offspring naturally enjoys the favor of Chairman Zheng. With such bias from the chairman, Ezra Zheng clearly struggles in dealing with the illegitimate child. Reading the SOS message sent by someone, I let out a cold laugh. Asking for help but refusing to humble yourself. Clearly, the problem isn't that serious. Might as well solve it yourself. Humming a tune, I turned off the livestream and dutifully got back to work. As for the fate of irrelevant people, who gives a damn? Thanks to the expert analysis from industry veterans, Myra Liu's clarification livestream seemed to have no effect at all. I heard she went to seek help from Ezra Zheng, but didn't even get to see his face. How dire is Ezra Zheng's current situation? Without the support of marriage, he was actually willing to transfer part of his assets to my name to cut his losses. Both laughable and pathetic. He still has cards and chips to turn the tables. Otherwise, he couldn't possibly be unaware that once he loses, I would take the assets he transferred and marry his dear brother Zheng Qiao. I'm actually inclined to believe that he's biding his time. After all, Mr. Zheng has been at the helm of the Zheng family for decades. Even though Ezra Zheng is the acknowledged heir, in the end, it's just a title of successor. However, what I didn't expect was that Myra Liu would actually collaborate with Zheng Qiao. She was invited to participate in another variety show, where she appeared gentle and dignified, displaying extraordinary generosity, with every piece of her casual wear exuding top-tier luxury. For a while, the internet was flooded with whitewashing posts. Has Myra Liu gone crazy? Or is it Ezra Zheng? Or maybe I'm the one who's lost it? How on earth did these two end up together? Are you sure Myra Liu is carrying Ezra Zheng's child and not Ezra Zheng's? Chen Ju was shouting excitedly in my ear. He couldn't wrap his head around how these two, who were not only unrelated but practically enemies, could end up collaborating. Two idiots, I muttered under my breath. Myra Liu just wants to mess with me and boost her own status to match the title of Mrs. Zheng. As for anything else, her brain probably isn't big enough to handle it. It seems she's certain Ezra Zheng can't do without her, daring to act so outrageously. Chen Ju shook his head inwardly, thinking Ezra Zheng's downfall lies in the classic trap of a hero succumbing to a beauty. Certain, I think she's bought into Zheng Qiao's nonsense about brothers having no lasting grudges, believing that pleasing Zheng Qiao will make the Zheng family more accepting of her. Chen Ju was shocked, muttering in disbelief. No way, could someone really be that foolish? I gave him a sidelong glance. Why not? Zheng Qiao is equally idiotic. Thinking that getting close to Myra Liu will help him extract information about Ezra Zheng, he'd be better off trying to win me over. I might even help him secure the title of Zheng family heir. Chen Ju's lips twitched slightly. Wouldn't Ezra Zheng come fight you to the death? He'd bite you to death if he had to. Am I afraid of him? He's a pig-brained idiot too. Damn it. Just thinking about having to deal with a whole family of Zheng pigbrains in the future makes me sick. Rarely did I disregard etiquette and manners to start cursing, but the current chaos of the situation had me so agitated that for a moment I didn't even know which mess to wade into and stir up. Lena Pei, I can't quite figure you out right now. Do you want to mess with Myra Liu, or Ezra Zheng? Or are you helping Ezra Zheng mess with Zheng Qiao? I want to crush them all. My tone was so irritable that it startled Chen Ju. After a short while, I finally calmed down. Soothing the violent emotions brought on by my intolerance for stupidity, no matter how much Hua Qi and the Zheng family collaborate, they can never truly merge into one. Naturally, I hope the waters in the Zheng family grow murkier by the day. Having regained my composure, I analyzed the situation for Chen Ju. Marriage means taking a definitive side. I can't very well team up with outsiders against my own husband, but as long as I hold the title of fiancé, no one can tell me what I can or can't do. Chen Ju's eyelids twitched uncontrollably. Ezra Zheng marrying you is truly like gambling. One wrong move and he could lose everything. But didn't he still beg to marry me? The corner of my lips curled slightly. Do you really think he has a choice? While the two Zheng brothers were busy scheming against each other, it conveniently left Myra Liu free to come and stir up trouble for me. Her belly was only slightly rounded. Yet she deliberately arched her back and stroked it with an exaggerated, affected posture, as if she were about to give birth any moment. Lena Pei, you were the one behind that trending hashtag before, weren't you? She declared confidently. Where's your proof? Making accusations without evidence is slander. Myra Liu snorted coldly. Young Master Zheng already told me everything, don't even think about denying it. Lena Pei, all that talk about not loving Ezra is just you fooling yourself. But too bad, Ezra loves me and our baby the most. You'll always be an outsider in this lifetime. Twirling a strand of my hair, I blinked at her and said, oh really? What a shame then, you'll never get to see Ezra in his groom's suit at the wedding in this lifetime. Myra Liu's expression twisted for a moment. The engagement between me and Ezra Zheng was the hardest thorn lodged in her heart. Even though Ezra Zheng had made countless promises, it still stuck in her throat like a fishbone. Lena Pei, just you wait. Ezra said he wouldn't let my child be nameless and unrecognized. I can't wait to see the look on your face when the esteemed third daughter of Huaqi becomes a discarded, resentful woman. You actually believe a man's words, it's just a trick to placate you. As a fellow woman, I truly feel pity and sorrow for you. Lena Pei, Ezra and I share a bond stronger than gold. Don't even think about driving a wedge between us. I smiled faintly without a word. Lowering my head to take a sip of tea, just now, Myra Liu stumbled unsteadily for 2 steps before regaining her balance, and her belly twitched. I was genuinely afraid that a few careless words might provoke her into miscarrying on the spot. If Ezra Zheng lost his heir because of this, would he demand I bear him another? That would be a classic case of cutting off one's nose to spite one's face. I tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear and stepped past her in my high heels. Then turned to wave at the salesperson who had been keeping a discreet distance. Wrap up what I just tried on and have it delivered to this address. The salesperson immediately beamed. Of course, Miss Pei, your total today comes to 7,673,000 yuan. Myra Liu was grinding her teeth in frustration. Ezra Zheng only gave her a measly 500,000 a month for pocket money, yet here she was, watching the person she despised the most casually swipe her card for over 7 million on 2 worthless stones without batting an eye. Her heart burned with both hatred and envy. If she became the young mistress of the Zheng family, would she too be able to swipe her card without hesitation, throwing around millions like Lena Pei? I glanced at the unwilling Myra Liu and disdainfully averted my gaze. Even without me, Lena Pei, the entire Zheng family would have to have their heads trampled by pigs to allow Myra Liu to marry in. The Pei family is considered the most humane among the upper class. Having at least produced a few romantics, I can only be considered an exception. But the Zheng family is entirely bound by interests, none of them have a heart. Expecting the Zheng family to allow a Cinderella to marry in is less realistic than hoping for the god of wealth to rain gold. However, Myra Liu loves to dream, and who can stop her? Kidnapped, and what's more, kidnapped together with Myra Liu. I let out a soft hiss. The back of my head aching, someone had struck me from behind as soon as I entered the parking lot, completely catching me off guard. I struggled slightly and found myself tightly bound with hemp ropes, unable to break free. Turning my head, I saw the terrified face of Myra Liu. What's going on? How did I end up here? Lena Pei, you bitch, was it you who did this to me? I rolled my eyes dramatically. Come on, lady, I'm tied up too. Use that pea-sized brain of yours to think for once. Will you shut up? A hoarse voice, like an old bellows, growled. A burly man with a thick beard and bushy eyebrows suddenly appeared from nowhere, a cigarette dangling from his mouth. He kicked both me and Myra Liu. Damn bitch. Stop yapping. The kidnapper spat and plopped down cross-legged on the ground nearby. Myra Liu, who was pregnant, was kicked and slammed into the wall, letting out a sharp cry. I frowned and calmly asked, "How much do you want? I may be short on money, but I don't want yours." The kidnapper sneered coldly, his tone vicious. "Just stay put, you bitch. Once Ezra Zheng gets here, I'll decide whether to kill or maim. Do you have a grudge against Ezra Zheng? He's the one who drove me to the edge. I'm going to make him pay. I know the Zheng family isn't short on cash. Threatening him with money wouldn't even faze him." The kidnapper let out a sinister chuckle, sending chills down my spine. For a moment, I couldn't guess what his true motive was. "I have nothing to do with Ezra Zheng. She is Ezra Zheng's woman, his fiancée. The whole of Haicheng knows it. Just take her and let me go," Myra Liu screamed hysterically. The kidnapper grabbed a nearby wrench and slammed it beside her leg, instantly silencing Myra Liu in terror. "Shut the hell up, you noisy bitch. You think I don't know about your dirty little affair with Ezra Zheng? I came for you. Aren't you carrying his bastard? Let's see how much you're worth to him, whether he'll even bother saving you." I glanced at the sky outside the window, then closed my eyes to block out their shouting, calculating the time in my head. At the same time, I was planning that if the kidnapper wasn't after money, then they must be after my life. I certainly wouldn't dare to entrust my life to Ezra Zheng's hands. A few hours later, Ezra Zheng appeared on the hillside, peering through the crack in the door of the cramped storeroom. I cursed under my breath at the sight of his shadow, calling him an idiot. He actually came alone. The kidnapper stood up, dusted himself off, and glanced sideways at Ezra Zheng with a cigarette dangling from his mouth. "You really kept me waiting, you bastard," Ezra Zheng gasped for breath, his voice hoarse as he spoke. "Where are they? How much do you want? What will it take for you to let them go?" The kidnapper remained calm. He nonchalantly pulled out a palm-sized pistol from his waistband. Ezra Zheng's hair stood on end in an instant. "You're trying to kill me." "No, I won't kill you," the kidnapper sneered sinisterly. "I want $1 billion. Fine, I can have them transfer it to you right now. Let them go." The kidnapper wagged a finger. No, with $1 billion, you can only save one." Ezra Zheng's brow furrowed deeply. "You want $2 billion, I can afford it, but you might not be able to handle it. Greed knows no bounds." "No, I only want $1 billion, and you can only save one," the kidnapper chuckled, revealing his true intent. "You ruined my family, Ezra Zheng. Now I want you to experience the same pain firsthand. Alright, it's decision time. Will it be your childhood sweetheart and fiancé, or the mistress carrying your child? Young Master Zheng, you have 10 seconds to choose. Otherwise, this gun will take 2 lives, 3, counting the unborn child." I closed my eyes. There was no need for hesitation. I already knew what choice Ezra Zheng would make. This kind of choice between me and Myra Liu is completely unnecessary. It's not like we're the female lead and the mistress in some tragic drama, where the male lead has to agonize over his decision. How Ezra Zheng would choose, all 3 of us know perfectly well. How boring. This kidnapper must have watched too many cheesy romance dramas to pull this nonsense. Myra Liu. The moment this name came out, I felt a sense of settling dust and peace. Mad. Those who do evil will inevitably bring destruction upon themselves. I've been cold-hearted and indifferent all my life. Never thought I'd stumble over this. I mocked myself silently. I always thought it was good to have no feelings for Ezra Zheng. But now, look at this. He didn't even hesitate to abandon me, his so-called plastic fiancé. The kidnapper burst into laughter, seemingly deranged. Young Master Zheng really didn't hesitate, did he? He's already made his decision. And I haven't even started counting yet. Myra Liu. I choose Myra Liu. Don't hurt her. I can give you money, as much as you want. Here's this card. I'll give you 500 million first. Just let me go in and see her. Ezra Zheng's anxious and desperate voice felt distant and cold to me. Good, since you've made your choice, that person can be taken away. What a pity though. The other little beauty will have to stay and keep me company for some fun. Ha ha ha. To be able to play with the woman of young Master Zheng in this lifetime, I can die without regrets. The kidnapper grabbed me by the hair and lifted me up. I watched calmly and indifferently as Ezra Zheng and Myra Liu embraced each other affectionately. Ezra Zheng's hands trembled as he untied Myra Liu, carefully picking her up as if handling fine porcelain, whispering soft words of comfort to her. He carried the person past the kidnapper without even glancing at me, the cold muzzle of a pistol pressed against my temple, leaving me frozen in place, helplessly watching as the two of them walked further and further away. Then, heavy breathing sounded right beside my ear. "Ezra, will Miss Pei be all right?" Myra Liu furrowed her delicate brows, her hand resting on her swollen belly, feigning concern. Ezra Zheng's jaw tightened as he held her hand steadily. "I've called the police, it should be fine, she's not important. I'm taking you to the hospital now, you and the baby must not come to any harm." Myra Liu's heart softened, she wrapped her slender arms around Ezra Zheng's neck. Leaning against his chest and listening to the unusual rhythm of his heartbeat, each frantic beat was a testament to his love for her. Ezra Zheng truly loved only her. Once Lena Pei was dead and the child was born, she could rightfully become the young mistress of the Zheng family. In this world, no one would ever compete with her for Ezra again. Myra Liu and Ezra Zheng spent several sweet months together, perhaps because they had survived a life-threatening ordeal. Ezra Zheng's protectiveness towards her skyrocketed. He practically wanted to tie her to his belt and take her everywhere. Though not officially married, they were more intimate than most couples, living a blissful life while eagerly awaiting the arrival of their love's fruit. On a winter night, New Year's Eve, after 10 months of pregnancy, Myra Liu finally went into labor. Ezra, I'm scared." Ezra Zheng gently kissed the corner of her lips to comfort her. Myra, you have to be strong. I'll be waiting outside for you and the baby. We'll welcome the new year together, with our baby. From now on, our family of 3 will be together forever." Tears welled up in Myra Liu's eyes as she nodded, and under Ezra Zheng's heartbroken gaze, she was wheeled into the delivery room. Ezra Zheng was stopped outside the delivery room and could only sit anxiously on the bench, waiting. Time passed bit by bit, and after what felt like an eternity, the light in the operating room finally changed. He rushed forward in a single stride, his eyes filled with hope as he looked at the doctor. The doctor's gaze was heavy with sorrow, shaking his head regretfully at him. "Sir, I'm very sorry. The mother suffered a sudden postpartum hemorrhage after delivering the baby. We did everything we could, but we still couldn't save her." Ezra Zheng's lips trembled, pale with shock. As if unable to believe what he had just heard, he staggered back 2 steps, only to break down in uncontrollable sobs upon seeing the frail newborn cradled in the nurse's arms. His voice was mournful and pitiful, visibly filled with despair and helplessness, with an overwhelming emotional intensity that made even bystanders involuntarily empathize with his sorrow. Later, he returned to the delivery room in a daze to pack up Myra Liu's belongings. Click, click, click. I walked in wearing high heels, closed the door, and stared at his hollow gaze before finally letting out a mocking laugh. "The Oscars really owe you a little golden statue. What are you doing here?" Ezra Zheng frowned, clearly displeased. "Just here to see how heartless you can be. My sister gave us Luyuan Manor as our new home, such a huge place. Even if you kept a mistress there, I wouldn't mind. It's rare for young Master Zheng to have someone who catches his eye. So how could I not play along?" Ezra Zheng lowered his gaze, masking his emotions. "Too bad she isn't fortunate enough to live in Luyuan." "Ha," I scoffed. "Well, that's truly unexpected. There's nothing surprising about this. The outcome was sealed the day she partnered with Ezra Zheng. Ezra Zheng, everyone says I, Lena Pei, am cold-hearted and indifferent to human emotions. But who would have guessed that the seemingly noble and upright young Master Zheng is truly the one devoid of affection and righteousness? So, we 2 cold-blooded creatures are a perfect match, aren't we?" Ezra Zheng said with a half-smile, his earlier sorrow completely gone. "Indeed, so, I look forward to seeing my groom dressed to the nines at our wedding a month from now, and not running away again," I said with a radiant smile. "Our partnership, this is the end. But also the real beginning. The benefits exchanged through marriage will eventually produce a biggest winner." I'm quite looking forward to seeing who will ultimately emerge victorious in this grand game. Of course, I, Lena Pei, will never lose.